Parsha Mishpatim and Rosh Chodesh Adar come together really in an auspicious time, and I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about religious growth, and in particular to talk about a quirk in the context of this week's Parsha and within Rosh Chodesh Adar that I think is incredibly impactful when one thinks about religious growth in general. Some of you have heard me say before that I see religious growth like trying to walk up a downward moving escalator. I use that analogy and I use that mashal because think about the way in which a downward moving escalator works. In order to simply stay the same or stay at the same point or stay at the same level, you have to keep walking. You have to walk against the tide. The world around us that we live in is a world that pushes against religious growth. It's a secular world that in many ways is anti-religion, is anti-belief, is anti the type of commitment that's required in the context of religious growth. So similar to a downward moving escalator, just to stay the same, you got to keep moving. But if you want to really grow, you have to walk fast. If you stop and you don't try to grow, you don't try to advance, then you're going to stand in one place and you're going to move down. You walk slowly, you'll stay the same. You want to really grow, you got to walk against the tide, you got to work hard. But if you run too fast or if you move too fast, you're going to trip and fall. That's really, in my belief, a perfect analogy for religious growth. Now comes Rosh Chodesh Adar. There are lots of different Jews in this world that connect and attach themselves to different times of the year. So many of you have been to summer camp and have been moved through Tisha B'Av. There are Tisha B'Av Jews who find sitting on the floor the crying of Eicha to be incredibly moving, incredibly impactful, and find a spiritual connection in it. There are Yom Kippur Jews who are incredibly motivated through a day of davening, a day of prayer. And then there are Purim Jews, Rosh Chodesh Adar Jews, Jews that are motivated through simcha, through joy, Jews who love the celebrations, Jews who love the parties. And that's what brings them simcha and brings them joy. But the problem is that in life, it's hard to find inspiration in the mundane. I remember as a child, I once had the opportunity to experience Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur at the Kotel. What an incredible opportunity. You stand there davening during Ne'ilah and you listen to the shofar at different times throughout the experience because of the fact that different minyanim are ending. And at every time that a minyan ends, the shofar sounds. And you're in the middle of your Ne'ilah listening to the shofar at different points. What an impactful experience. But you know what? It only happened once. And the inspiration has to stay with you forever. Now, I mention that because when you look in this week's Parsha, you have the statement that the Jewish people make of Nasa v'nishma. We will do and we will listen. An incredible statement of faith and commitment in which the Jewish people pledge their allegiance to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, Torah and mitzvahs, even though they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They don't have a clue, to some extent, what's to come and what's ahead. They have an inkling, they have a little bit of a sense, but they don't know the whole picture of it. Yet they say Na'aseh v'nishma. That's a statement of belief, and that's a statement of faith. But Rashi tells us, right at the beginning of Parachav Daled, Ve'el Moshe Amar, Pasuk Aleph, Parsha zu Nemar Kodem Aseret HaDibrot B'Daled B'Sivan. Nemar lo Allah. Rashi tells us that this entire parsha of Na'aseh v'nishma really happened right before Aseret HaDibrot. And it's not surprising. Think of the inspiration. Jewish people just crossed the Yam Suf. They just saw the Makot. They saw all the incredible things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did to them. It's not so surprising that they declared, Na'aseh v'nishma, we're in. We're with you. We're fully invested. But the Ramban disagrees. The Ramban, in a lengthy essay, quotes Rashi. Not going to read it inside, but you should look at it. And the Ramban says it's not true. This statement of Na'aseh v'nishma takes place right here in Parsha Mishpatim. Right after the Jewish people received the Torah, came down from Har Sinai, came back from the inspiration, got back to normal life, experienced laws, Mishpatim, Eved Ivri, Dini Mamonot, all sorts of different interpersonal, interrelational concepts that they had to live their lives by. They were no longer inspired post-Yetziat Mitzrayim experience. That inspiration had waned. They came off the mountain, but yet they still declared Nasa v'Nishma. That is a lesson for our lives. There are lots of different Jews, and we're entering Adar, Rosh Chodesh Adar, filled with simcha and joy. Hopefully, the world around us, it will bring us greater simcha and joy. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard year without tishes, without chagigot, without so much of what makes our yeshiva, our ulpana so special, without so much of what inspires us. But yet now Purim's coming. It's been a full year. I remember last Purim, we were just getting started with this in our communities. And now we're a full year and it doesn't seem much has changed. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. We have to be motivated. We have to be inspired. We have to find that inspiration. We have to find that connection. We have to stay strong as best as possible because we have to recognize that religious growth is hard and religious growth has challenges. But the only way to truly grow is to keep pushing, keep moving, even when the inspiration is hard to come by. Thoughts to think about. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for listening.